Just another magical day in the springtime in South Florida. Yeah, this is what most of our spring looks like. Typically it's every day for a couple hours in the afternoon, but some days like today, which today is Monday, Memorial Day, I hope you're having a good, a nice time with your family. Again, remember why. But this is what our Memorial Day looks like down here, so it may or may not stop. So this is day 3 of owning the Black Knight. Again, not in a cool way, more of a...
I'm invincible! You're a loony. The Black Knight always triumphs! How about you?
That way, because it broke the day I bought it, or actually took delivery of it from a friend. But I've known that I was going to buy... Let me move away from the rain. I'm not peeing. That's rain. The day that I knew we were going to do this, that I bought this from a good friend of mine. The day I knew we were going to do this, he sent me a bunch of pictures of it so I could go to the bank. I don't... Full disclosure. Not like I have money laying around to buy a motorcycle of this caliber. I call USAA my bank. I am not a veteran. My father was. Served 2 tours in Vietnam. So I have USAA benefits. That's where I do my banking. And I called them about, can I get a check? Can I borrow some money and buy a motorcycle? They needed pictures also. So he sent me pictures, and I used those pictures to then contact a couple friends of mine in the motorcycle industry that, let's say, own companies that make parts for motorcycles, and said, look at these, aren't these cool? Knowing they were going to go, oh, hell no, those are coming off, my stuff's got to be on there. So one of the companies I did that with, because I don't like what's currently on there, I'll show you right now what I'm talking about. Actually, let's do the vroom vroom, and I'm off track, and then we'll get into this. Let's put pipes on the goddamn Black Knight. So what's on there right now is Rineharts. Now, I know a lot of people love Rineharts. I'm not, dissing them or whatever. It's just not my style. They have a good kind of throaty, deep sound, but they have no crack to them, and I think they're just too quiet. Just preference, don't get upset. Y'all know that on the Mrs. bike we run tabs. We have the tab 2-in-1 and a 2 head pipe, which is a Milwaukee 8 design, and then 50 cal mufflers with the Z-rings, and it sounds fantastic. It's loud. I mean, there ain't no way to make the bike not loud, but it just wants to yell everywhere it goes. But I like that on a bike like hers and a bike like this, because this bike is so over the top. Let's do a quick walk around again so you know what it is I'm talking about. I sure hope you can hear me over the storms. It's loud in here. But so the bike's got a 21-inch something. I still got to figure out if that's an RC Components wheel, or it's got Performance Machine brakes, but I can't find that wheel on their site anywhere. I'm gonna have to just put my hands on it and figure out what I'm looking at. But a 21-inch wheel, Arlen Ness forks, air ride front and rear, electric center stand, that's what it's sitting on right now. A Bad Dad rear end. I don't know who makes the bars, but it's got 14-inch sort of meat hook style. The motor is a Stage 5 tire shredder kit. That's what my buddy who I bought it from was told when he actually paid to have it done. But there's some question about that because the cylinders look a bit different, than you would expect the Harley cylinders to look like. So, still some questions there. They deleted the rear foot pegs because no one ever rode on the back of it, and converted the front footboards to foot pegs, to 4 controls. I like it. It's different. It's nice. It's a good riding bike. And it has a Sony head deck, J&M speakers, and yeah, I guess that's the basics of it. But this Rinehart, it has what, I think there's probably a hidden volume there, so it's probably 2-in-1 or 2 kind of thing, and then Rinehart slip-ons. It does sound good. It's got a good rumble, but it's not my style of sound. I like loud. So my buddy at Tab sent me their true 2-in-2 head pipe with black shields and some 4.5-inch BAM sticks with zombie baffles for this bike. 4.5, just so you know, because this rear end will not accommodate a 5-inch. Fun fact for you, many rear ends won't accommodate a 5-inch. No, bad joke. The CVO stretch rear end, the opening is really large, and so you can put a 5-inch 50 cal pipe in there. but like Advan's Dominator rear end, which is the one I've run on a couple different bikes, or this Bad Day rear end, the opening is actually smaller to actually close that area up. Side effect is they made it so small you can't put a 5-inch in there, so you need a... I'm gonna drown. You got to put a 4.5 in there. That'll fill up that opening. Side effect also, one of my good brothers, good friend of mine, Zorro's his road name, just redid his Road King CVO, and the frickin' moron that put the mufflers on the bike didn't do something right by his carbon fiber tips, and one of them came off. So he's rolling around missing exhaust tips. These Rineharts are gonna go on his bike, so he's got a 110, CVO. So nice side effect. You pull those off and give them to a buddy, and fix his problem too. So I got to get. I don't know if I'll be able to do this with it just sitting on the ground like this. Maybe. I need to start building an arc. I'll be back in a minute. Well, I just answered my first mystery. I honestly, my buddy knew it has front rear air ride. He didn't know what. Again, he's that's just how he rolls. Nothing wrong with that. He took it someplace, had it done. We didn't know what kind of air ride was on it. All kinds of questions. Well, we see it's dirty air, which I would expect it to be, a quality high-end brand like Dirty Air if you're going to do air ride, because that's the kind of stuff that his guys do. So there's your air tank, and there's the Dirty Air shock. The lights, I still don't know what they are. These light bars here in the back. That's the only tail light it has. Is on each side. There's one strip like that. That's it. That's the whole thing. Not a fan of that. The rear end, I'm pretty sure is a Bad Dad. I'm going to pull these off, take them off on both sides just so I can get access to stuff, because it also needs a new rear brake rotor. There's a little pulse in there. So that's a Harley caliper. So besides doing the exhaust, this whole video is going to be what in the hell do I have, So I see a Harley caliper, but that's not a Harley rotor. Or is it? Oh, it is a Harley rotor. Okay. Well, anyway, so I got to get a new brake rotor. So let's keep going. I just want to let you know that I did find out that it is Dirty Air. That's exciting. I almost made a damn near fatal mistake. We didn't do it before. Like, you wouldn't know what this bike sounded like before. I'm just tearing into it. Thankfully, I haven't actually gotten into the pipe, so I'll show you what I've done so far. So far, what I've done is, I've just taken off the seat, I've taken off the side covers, and I've taken off the saddlebags. And that's how I discovered there's Dirty Air under there. So the side covers just pull off. The saddlebags, you just undo the finger bolts like you would on any other Harley. And then there were two plugs for this guy. There was one that was nicely done for the stereo. That was a nice way they wired it, so that's good. Quick release right there for the speaker, and then one quick release for that tail light. The stereo bit I'll be leaving, but the tail light bit I think is all coming out. So I think I'm going to go to a Dominator fender whenever we do a color swap on this later. I'm not sure when. I got a lot in the fire right now, so it's not exactly big pressure deal. But so I got those off. So let's go ahead and fire up, and we'll see what she sounds like now with the Rineharts on it. So, you also probably heard the slow start. This needs a battery. So, just so happened, short story long, I pulled the battery out of my 21 Ultra and it's sitting there charging, and it's of course the same battery. So, I got a battery for it already. Although I'd like to put something stronger in this thing because it's got lots of electronics. So, it probably needs a little more ass in the battery, but that's got to go. But you hear already the kind of exhaust note that's not me. There's no crack to it. Very kind of a smooth sound. Which I know, some of you, that's your thing. I like it to be more obnoxious. The bike is obnoxious. The pipe should be too. So, I'm going to get to cracking pulling these off, but now you hear at least the before. Current situation. Wounded by a damn exhaust shield. I hate exhaust shields. I know we all do. They're a big pain in the ass. But I pinched myself and I'm bleeding and it makes me hurt. It makes me hurt and hurts and then got a boo-boo. Anyway, so exhaust shields are off and mufflers are off. This bike's a 16. And I don't know if these are the first pipes he ever put on it or when he did the rebuild about a year and a half, 2 years ago, if he changed them. I think these have been on there for 6 years because they was a bitch to get off. Also discovered that the clamp holding the crossover had no nut on it. So when I dropped the nuts off the left side muffler, shoo! I say nuts because Rinehart's actually have a post and a nut instead of a bolt that goes down into it. Weird, but that's what they do. So when I dropped those two, it just dropped to the floor because it was... I'm surprised I didn't have a tick or something, or rattle or something coming from there because there was nothing holding the crossover on. Great. Flange nuts are coming off. I got 3 out of 4. No problem. Heat shields are off. O2 sensors are different. I haven't done a twin cam dresser in a very long time, but I can tell you that gray is your front O2 sensor and black is your back O2 sensor, but the wires seem to be the same length. So I'm concerned what I'm going to find when I go to put the new pipes on. I'm a bit worried, like the O2 sensor wire is not going to be long enough to get back here. Anyway, pray for me. So here's the current situation. So muffler's off, muffler on the other side and the crossover are off. Shields are off. Rinehart plate thingy that hides the hidden third volume. Like I said, I thought these had a crossover in there, and they do. So these are actually a 2-into-1 central volume and then into 2 equals. On a Milwaukee 8, this comes down as a big volume all the way to the back, and there's just a small nipple that comes off of that. Said nipple. That goes over to a smaller pipe, so you're really a 2-into-1 with a little shoot off. These are different. So pull this off, put on the head pipe from tab, and hopefully that O2 sensor wire is long enough. I'm concerned. All right, I figure we'll open these tabs. So you see 95 to 16. I don't know if that's, you want to see the part number there if you have a twin cam touring bike, but 95 to 16 touring models. These are 4.5-inch black mufflers, so they're called BAM sticks. Straight cut tip, that's what I wanted, with a zombie baffle. So it's got like a bejeweled black tip. That's helpful. Hang on. All right, so this is what we got so far, and I screwed up. I already took something off. So inside there, just to show the packaging, people are interested in that. You pull the muffler out, you got a soft plastic sleeve, and then it's still shrink wrapped, so it'll protect the, I don't know if that's a ceramic coat or what, but I can tell you it's different than what I saw in the other pipe. That's thicker. And these are the beveled tips that I chose. I think I'm going to do, eventually, I think I'm going to do the extension, which will push the tip out a little further, just so it'll stick out from the back of the bike more. I like that look. If you're not evening up the tip with the rear of the bike like we did on, the Mrs. CVO, if you're not doing that, then I want to see the tip stick out further. Just the tip. And then also the Z-rings you install on these guys that give you better, people with the back pressure, physicians, people who are into physics are going to go like, that's not what it's called. I don't know. But when you put more resistance in the rear, you get better performance. And they make a thing called the Z-ring that goes in there and does that. I might put those in too, but for now I just want it to sound right. It's too quiet, so there's the slip-ons. We all know what that looks like. Now I'm going to go get the box for the head pipe, and we'll see there. I sure hope those O2 sensors are down low like they were. It seems like, after further inspection, it seems like the wideband O2 bungs, the bung hole, as they call it, was up higher, and that the narrow bands were down at the bottom. This does not have wideband O2 sensors on it, I don't think, because they look like stock size. So hopefully I'm going to find the narrow bands are down below and not a problem. Otherwise, I'm going to have to buy a new O2 sensor with a longer cable or something. So pray for me. We'll know in a second. There may have been a positive development here, because I'd said earlier, just a second ago, I said I'd like to maybe do the Z-rings and the extensions, and I think that my contact at Tab threw in some goodies when I ordered these, because I see black extensions, I see Z-rings already in here. We might be doing it all today. You know what those are? Yeah, 4.5-inch Z-rings. Right on. New crossover pipe. I'm not sure if this comes with that or not, but new crossover pipe and mount. Oh, this is going to be so much nicer. Reusing 6-year-old parts that have been on a bike. We all know there's a lot of penetrating fluid you're using, and No gross jokes, boys. All kinds of stuff. Let me get this all unpacked. There's a lot of boxes in here because this box is for a head pipe, but he just packed it full of stuff. So let me get this all open. I'll be back. I'm having an existential crisis. The instructions are at the bottom of the box. Do I get them? Because we know that instructions are for losers, right? I'll get them. Damn it. Well, side note, the packing job they do is awesome. So the head pipe, like the flange ends have rubber caps over them, and the padding that goes on the pipe is zip tied onto it so that it, you know, they do a nice job. I've opened a lot of stuff where I'm like, well, that's a miracle that it's not damaged. And that's not them. This stuff always comes out of the box like perfect and protected. So your shipper would have had a bad day for them to really damage that stuff. So, all right, now I'm going to shut her off, get everything unpacked, lay it out, and we'll get started. I got to clean this mess up for me just throwing stuff as I take it off, too. I figured, actually, since I got the extension, the Z-rings right here, and the mufflers off the bike, it'd be easier to just do them both. Essentially, how the extensions work, wouldn't it be great if we could all just buy a couple inches for... Anyway, there's 2 bolts, Allen bolts, holding the tip on. Take the tip off, put the extension on, use those bolts, da-da-da. You know what I mean? You're literally just moving these out a little bit. The Z-rings install between the muffler and the extension, and and then the tip goes on the extension. So it's not hard stuff, just some Allen bolts, but we'll knock this out pretty quick. All right, so the head pipe's done. I'll show you what I got, how it went, and the only thing I found that was difficult that isn't obvious in the instructions. Yes, I had to check the instructions too. We'll talk about that also. So it's your typical, front pipe, get the flange over the nuts, give her a little stretch to go in the second, get the flange over the nuts, and then finger tight all 4 of the flange nuts, and then you got a mounting bracket here. It's a P-clamp that goes around the pipe into a bracket that they include. So you take the bracket off that hangs from the bottom of the transmission, put a new one on. The thing I had to check the instructions for is I didn't know if the P-clamp sort of sandwiched the bracket. Yeah. Or if it goes on top of it, or what it was. So I had to check the instructions. It goes on top of it. Drop the bolt down through, nut on the bottom. That's done. Then one thing I noticed that's different, I like this. When I took that other pipe off, I told you that the clamp just wasn't doing its job on what was on here, on the Rinehart head pipe. So when I dropped the muffler, the whole thing just went poop and just hit the ground. And it had this weak little clamp on it that was, the nut seemed to be a little stripped, and that might be what the situation was. But this guy, it comes with a crossover. There's one thing that's different. I've had someone send me recently an exhaust that they were like, I was thinking about getting this. I don't know why the tab was more expensive. It wasn't much. It was like $150 or something. They said, why is it more expensive? And I looked into it, and the difference is a lot of these assume you use the stock crossover. So the stock crossover pipe you're taking off and reusing it. On the tab, it comes with a new crossover. So there's cost there. I mean, there's another piece of steel that's bent, bracketry, all that stuff. So this crossover comes with a new bracket. Another thing that would, explain your cost thing. Comes with a new bracket to mount to the back of the transmission, so I don't have to worry about the stripped out nut that was missing and all this other crap. New bracket comes over, and a clamp goes here instead of sort of back here. Yeah, so the other one was like about there, right? So you got a new clamp there with a classic exhaust clamp just holding her on. So head pipe's on tight as she can be. I have black shields, of course, to go on it, but now I'm going to throw the mufflers on if I have muffler hanging bolts. If not, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'd hate to have to go, well, we're stopping for today, but we'll see if I have some spares in the toolbox that'll work. Probably do, I would imagine. I've taken them off so many times. So we'll throw the mufflers on, hang them up, and then put the shields on, and we're done. So, uno momento. A trick that I've never shared before on lining up your mufflers in the back if you've got, stretch rear end. Anyway, if you have regular, those ST style bags or Ultra style bags that are short and they're not stretched and there's no wraparound, you can't tell so much when your mufflers are out of alignment. But if you've got, cutouts for them, you can see when one's cocked funny. So on this sort of rear end, again, this is a rear, for right now, it's a bad dad rear end. It's pretty tight, right? It really holds a 4.5-inch muffler. It's I think those Rineharts were 4s. and these are 4.5s because it seems like it fills them out way more. And I'm glad I did the extensions because the rear end is so long, the tips really would have been sunken back in there. So, no light on me. So, thanks again to my buddy. I can't remember the fake name I gave him. Let's call him Beatrice. Maybe it was Beatrice. Anyway, thanks Beatrice for sending those extensions. Otherwise, I would have been stuck, you know. But I'll show you a trick that's like, if you don't have the adjustable brackets, which is a better way of doing it, they're made a couple places, but I always use the Advan Black ones. It's basically the same hanger bracket you used to, but with a track cut in there. Tab makes them too that are a Z design, a different design that I've never used. Anyway, so there's a bunch of ways to get at this, and they're on the Tab site too, but you can basically use the bracket to line the muffler up and then cinch her down. This just had regular old hanger brackets, so what I did was get the mufflers on the head pipe and then tighten the hanger brackets, because those are just in rubber anyway, you can move it around. And then what you do is you turn the muffler on the head pipe, and that'll give you some movement, you know, one way or the other. So I've already done the right side, I'll show you. So that one's straight, right? As you can see, if I didn't have those extensions, if Tab didn't send me those, thanks again, bud, the tip would be in there. It wouldn't work. So the extensions really made it look right. This side I haven't done yet, and as you can see, she's cocked a little bit that way. So what I'm going to do is, before I tighten the front clamp, so again the hangers are tight, I'm going to turn her this way, and that's going to swing the tip out a little bit, get it off that fender, which you can see it was before earlier because she's got some marks on there. Rotate them and tweak them that way a bit before I, you know, cinch down the clamp, and then they'll stay in place. So I'm just excited to get this thing fired up because it didn't sound the way I wanted it to sound before. So we're gonna fix that. Why did I do this today? Anyway, it's done. Everything went fine. I'm trying to think of like tips and tricks stuff that I've learned from doing 75 billion friggin' exhausts over the years. One of them is when you put your heat shields back on, to take your your worm gear clamps, tired, and sort of like hold the heat shield on the pipe, and then plot where you want the screw to be, right? So you got it in the place where you can get to it later. You'll find that as those things tighten, they'll tuck up behind a bit, so it's not like you're going to see the screw, but just hold the shield up there and really think, do I want it to go this way or this way? You know what I mean? Then thread them through, offer it up, and clamp it down. The only thing I've seen, this is not a problem, this is a rarity because of this motorcycle. I'll show you, there's something kind of strange, not a big deal. When my buddy converted this to forward foot pegs, which I do like, it's unique, it's different, it's comfortable, it's fun, makes it more of a, you know, show bike, whatever you want to call it. You delete the floorboards, and that creates this gap in the heat shield because there should be a floorboard there. So, not Tab's fault. That's the only thing that I was like, oh, how about that? Anyway, so, fresh new heat shields. The old ones we're wearing, and I'm no expert on this blacked out stuff, but comment down below your thoughts on how you keep them looking nice, because a lot of the black heat shields I see, just after years and years, this is pretty thick stuff. It's got kind of a texture to it, so it might be different. But those, the shields that we took off on the Rineharts, you can see, well, it rubbed away where his foot goes. And it just, maybe it was thinner, but it's just a little discolored and turns a little gray. So how do you keep that stuff black, you know? Again, that stuff looks pretty thick, and I bet it's some sort of ceramic coating, which might be different, but just curious, like, how do you do that? So, on there, got my mufflers. I pushed them in a little more because they were, I don't know, I just want them lined up a little better. So, that one's a little tweaked. I gotta fix that still. So, centered on that side, that one, I guess when I tightened the clamp, it tweaked a little to the left, so I'll have to line that out again, but there she be. I have not heard it yet, so let's do this together. I'll cut in real quick. I'll go back and duplicate the earlier run sound, I'll try to anyway, of the Rineharts, but first start with the tabs. These are 4.5 inch BAM sticks with zombie baffles and Z-rings on their head pipe. That's the compressor. I'll wait for that to shut up. Hang on, let me wait for the compressor to charge. All right, that compressor charges the air tank in the back so you can lift and raise and lower the bike. All right, so contact. All right, before the cops show up. So, I honestly don't know how well the mic does. You know what I mean? That sort of sound. Normally, it's more decibels than these mics can handle, so they sort of bomb out and you hear that. But the tone is very different. There's way more crack to the exhaust. I can't wait to ride it, because when you're riding it, I always say what a bike sounds like when it's under load. And what I mean by that is if you're going 35 miles an hour in fourth gear, right? And you're pulling 2,000 RPMs. When you roll it on, let the bike, what they say, when you let the bike dig deep and come out of a being bogged a little bit, that's when you can really hear how good an exhaust sounds. And I did that several times yesterday with this Rinehart system. Again, no offense. If Rinehart's your thing, whatever. We all have our preferences, you know. But it didn't have the like rasp that I really want on an exhaust, and this is going to do that. So I'm excited for tomorrow. I got to go inside and spend some time with the family because it is Memorial Day. We got to barbecue and, you know, call the old man and that kind of stuff. But, which thankfully we're not celebrating him today because he's with us. Good God, right? So, that's what we got. What do we think? Comment down below. Do you approve, disapprove? What do you think? One fun thing that was interesting that I forgot to mention until just now, when I was working on it earlier, getting to that first flange nut, right? So the front pipe has 2 flange nuts. The one in the front there, you have to get from the other side or, you know, up under with a regular wrench. You can't just get on that with a ratchet normally. I had to use the air ride to get at it. I had to raise the bike up, put the kickstand down, and lift it over so I could turn the wheel, because when it's down on the center stand, the wheels sit straight. I can't turn the wheel really when it's on the center stand. So that was interesting. Lift it up, put it over, turn the wheel, tighten it down, da-da-da. So I need to do a whole video on this air ride thing. I've only got, 2 days in the saddle with it. So I've formed my opinions, but I need to go out and do a ride, maybe stop middle of nowhere and video, going up and down and how the whole thing works, so you get where I'm coming from when I do it. But that's it. What else you want to see about this bike? What else are you curious about? We're talking color swap and all that stuff, but other than maybe changing the air cleaner, because I'm just not a huge fan of that little open stack thing. It is cool though. That's probably all. What I just did is probably all I'm going to do to the engine and exhaust kind of thing. We're going to do grips, we're going to do mirrors, and then body work. From there, I don't know, probably put a solo seat on it. What do you think? Put down below what you'll do with this thing. Love you all to death. Take care of each other. We'll talk real soon. Bye.